So I'm super excited to be introducing Jean Vickers, who's here to tell us just how incredibly starting new clubs is. So let's take everybody off mute and give Jean a super big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Lily. And this is what I'm hoping from this session today. I'm hoping, first of all, everybody will leave this session totally understanding the what's in it for me for taking on these big roles. I'm hoping we have a lot of fun in this session, and I've got some really amazing people to share our time with me. So you don't have to listen to me for the entire time. First of all, I want to talk about why I got involved in starting new clubs. When I became an area governor for District 21, our district governor back then was Françoise Baruch. She made a statement to me one time, and I tried it, but what I took away from it is when I tried it, things exploded for me in Toastmasters. Françoise Baruch said to me, she said, Jean, as an area governor, if you start a new club off the beginning of your year, I promise you this, you will have an absolutely amazing year. Your success will happen automatically. My thought was, I'm a pretty busy person. I don't have time for all these extra things. I took on the role as area governor because I guess I received enough pressure to take on the role, but holy smokes, there's a lot of things to learn, to take on, to do. One of the things that I learned, and I know that everybody else will learn if you haven't already, give a big job to a busy person. If you give a big job to a busy person, that person will have more success than they imagined. I will come back into Toastmasters in just a second. But when I took on the role as area governor and I got really busy at work, I became the #1 lease renewal specialist in Western Canada. Why? It's because I was pushed. I was pushed to achieve more. And all those different things that I took on that I thought I was too busy to do, they enhanced my ability to move further. Becoming the area governor, starting a new club. I remember walking into the Port Moody City Hall, my good friend Gaetan Royer. I said, hey, listen, I've got an offer for you. I have a win-win proposition for you. I think we should start a new Toastmasters Club in Port Moody at the City Hall. If you provide the room for free, we can train a lot of city employees who would be able to give far better presentations at council meetings. The communication would grow so much better. They could develop those communication skills to get even more out of their employees of the community. Gaetan jumped all over that. We started the club, and the club started off with a tremendous amount of success. We're going to go into the nuts and bolts of running an effective demo meeting, but before I do that, some of the roles and the what's in it for me is for people to step up and say, hey, listen, I'd love to be a sponsor for that new club. And if you're willing to be a sponsor for the new club, the biggest parts of the role is to ensure that you have a minimum of 25 people at that demo meeting who want to join the Toastmasters Club. To ensure that you have all the I's dotted, the T's crossed, to ensure that every last thing, and these things are easy and you have a lot of support from me and from members of the district in moving forward. Once you've got the people there, once you have the Maestro of the Symphony, and we'll talk about that shortly, once you have your mentors all aligned, you're ready to get going. What's in it for you as being a club sponsor? Leadership. It's a big chunk in getting your DTM. What's in it for you? It's the opportunity to show you can accomplish something that perhaps you didn't even believe that you could accomplish. Tremendous opportunity. Short-lived, doesn't take very long to do it, to get all those credits, but being in that role is one real tremendous leadership opportunity. Being a club mentor. That means what you're doing is when you're forming the club is you're building a relationship with all the members of the club. You're sitting in the meetings for the next 6 months to a year to ensure that their meetings are run organized, to ensure that all the members are taking on all the different roles effectively. And you're sort of a coach with every last one of them, just nudging them to move forward. What's in it for you? It's another big chunk in that becoming a DTM. Building amazing friendships that last for years. That's one of the most wonderful things that I found in Toastmasters is the friends that I have developed through the years, and most of it has been as a result of forming new clubs. Some of those new clubs, some of the leaders are here today, and it makes it fun for me to enjoy watching where those clubs have gone to become amazing. Now that we've got all those different roles, I have a couple of people on here today as far as what's in it for me if I decide I want to be the maestro of the symphony, that person who chairs the demo meeting to ensure that it has a lot of success. Have you ever wanted to deliver a powerful speech and just watch the results from the audience and how they take it in? Being the maestro is very similar. The only difference is you have 25 plus people out there who know nothing about Toastmasters. And what you're doing is you're sort of looping everything, bringing everything together so those people can see the features, the values, the benefits of joining Toastmasters. At the end of the meeting, when you ask people to put up their hands who'd be interested in joining that club, and you see 20 plus hands go up, there's something special that goes on in your heart saying, I'm part of this something special. Being the maestro of the symphony is a tremendous opportunity to feel pretty darn good about yourself. So how do we run an effective demo meeting? First of all, we have to keep it simple. And when I say keep it simple, I try to make sure demo meetings are less than an hour. One speaker. And I'll share what the significance of that is shortly. The evaluator for that speaker. In most demo meetings, you will have a maximum of 3 table topics. When you do those table topics, you want to ensure that the first person who gets up has a little bit of confidence, who's been there before, done that, bought the t-shirt. When that person gets up and does their table topic, the 2 new people who haven't done it before, all of a sudden they've had an opportunity to see somebody else get up and do it. The second and third person who get up to do the table topics, I always ensure the table topics master, who is one of those people that I mentioned earlier, the mentor, the sponsor, the might be the area director, but make sure that they realize I'm only going to have 3 people. The first person is going to be a person who's done it before, but the second and third people are going to be more outgoing people. Show some confidence when we're shaking hands or meeting each other at the beginning of the meeting. After we've done those table topics, then we're ready to go on to the meeting. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the demo meeting shortly, but I am excited. We have a special speaker today who's going to do a 5 to 7 minute speech. And before I talk about him, is Art Dodd. Art has been a Toastmaster for 9 years, 3 DTMs. He's been an area/division director, governor, 3 times. He's been a division governor. Art has swallowed the Kool-Aid gallon full, and he's taken a lot of people on this special journey. Art belongs to 2 clubs. Engaging Humor is his host club, and Walnut Grove is his other club. While Art's doing a speech today, it's level 1, project 2. The first speech of this presentation, Mastery Pathway, My third pathway, his third pathway. My friend Patrick, Art Dodd. Art Dodd, my friend Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, most welcome guests to this demo meeting. Who here has ever, or maybe now, but has ever been afraid to speak? To get up and speak in front of people? Virtually everyone. I was known for the cotton balls in my mouth, and my knees would smash together. That's when I wore long pants to hide them. But to be more serious, I was asked twice to MC two of my best friends' weddings. Both times I declined because I was ashamed that I was so nervous. I was ashamed that I wouldn't do a good job, and I was ashamed that I let them down. And then one day, I was with my friend Patrick, and I learned something really interesting about my friend Patrick, and that very same day changed my life forever. Patrick and I were at a conference, a business conference, at the Sheraton Hotel in Guildford Hotel, and this would have been 2003, 2004. It was after lunch in the afternoon, and we were on a break. And Patrick and I had been enjoying the conference for the whole weekend. This was day 2. When another friend of ours, George, walked up, said, Patrick, I need to ask you something. What is it, George? Well, I need a speaker. Our keynote, his plane is running late, and I need somebody to fill some time. Can you do it? Well, George, I'm not sure. Let me ask you 3 questions. All right. Question 1. What kind of thing do you need me to speak on? Well, I need something inspirational. I need something to motivate people. It's the afternoon. We need some energy, that kind of thing. Okay. How long do you want me to speak? 45 minutes. When do you want me to speak? Right at the end of this break, about 20 minutes from now. I was astonished because Patrick said, sure. I went, what? Patrick said, sure. And off he went into the lobby and paced for about 15 minutes, just deep in his own thoughts. I couldn't believe what he had agreed to. A 45-minute speech, or presentation rather, in front of 300-400 people without any preparation. Now, Patrick came back, was introduced, stood up on that stage, and delivered an unbelievable presentation. It was full of emotion. It was full of energy. People were on their feet. People were laughing. There were tears in the audience. It was so inspirational. And I thought, man, I want to be able to do that. Patrick has an incredible superpower. And that was it. Patrick's superpower. I wanted to have that superpower. But of course, I knew nothing about public speaking. If you remember, I'm Mr. Cotton Balls in the Mouth. I'm Mr. Knees Crashing Together. But I knew that it was a skill that I might be able to at least learn a little bit about and be good enough so that I could stand on stage and maybe talk for 5 or 10 minutes. I knew about Toastmasters. I'd heard about Toastmasters, as we all have through the course of our lives. We think it's a bunch of guys sitting around in a dark room, you know, sort of chatting with one another, learning how to do public speaking. But it took me a long time, about 5 years, to finally walk into my first Toastmasters meeting. Now, I did a table topic that very first day I was asked, and I thought, well, I'm here. I made it through. I had the cotton balls in the mouth, but I made it through. And then it took me about 6 months to finally join my first Toastmasters meeting as a member. Langley Morning Toastmasters, 7 a.m. on Tuesday mornings. Now, over the course of the next few years, I spoke. I took every opportunity. At Langley Morning, it was just assumed that everybody got their DTM, their Distinguished Toastmaster. That's why I have 3 of them. I just assumed that's what people did. They just did it. And so I took every single speaking opportunity given to me. And slowly but surely, I earned just a touch of Patrick's superpower. Fast forward a couple of years, and that's when it struck me. I was delivering a speech for about 20 people in the room. It was a 25-minute presentation. And at one moment, everything changed for me. It was as if, you know how they talk about when you're in a car accident and everything goes into slow motion, you see everything? Well, it happened to me then. I was speaking, and all of a sudden, time stood still. I realized that everybody was on the edge of their seat, looking in, and I could take the time in that split second. I saw every single person. I looked around the room, and I knew at that moment I could either make them laugh or I could make them cry with my next phrase. I get goosebumps today just thinking about that moment, that little hint of hanging on to Patrick's cape and having just a tiny bit of that superpower. Now, I don't get the cotton balls in my mouth. My knees don't crash together. And I'm perfectly comfortable stepping onto a stage of 500, 1,000, 2,000, in front of 500,000, 2,000 people. The reason being is I know that I have developed a skill set that's not going to let me down. And even if I lose my way, I'll be able to find my way back and deliver something effective, hopefully something intelligible, hopefully something inspirational. Now, for those of you that are considering joining Toastmasters, that are afraid, remember, I was an awful public speaker. It was through practice that I learned to be able to stand here in front of you and deliver this speech. I urge you to join and work on your superpower like I have, just like my friend Patrick. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Art, that was awesome. And before we go on to our evaluator, I want to point out to everybody is when I'm looking for a speaker for a demo meeting, what I'm hoping for someone who will sell Toastmasters to that group. Sharing their personal story is the world. And Art, you did just that, and I really appreciate the great job that you did. Our evaluator for Art is a 4-time district champion. I've watched this fellow go from a fellow who I thought might have been afraid of his own shadow to a fellow who's one of the most amazing speakers, amazing leaders that I know in Toastmasters. Not only has he won 4 district championships, but this year he will be heading off to the international semi-finals. If he wins that, he will be in the World International Speaking Championship. It gives me great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Stefano Casalter.
Wow, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Gene. Fellow Toastmasters, and of course, my friend, Art Dodd. Art Dodd is a wonderful leader and speaker in our district. And he delivered a speech with authenticity, vulnerability, and unique storytelling techniques to give us a good example of what a great Toastmaster speech is. First of all, Art opened with vulnerability. He talked about how awful he was before he became a great speaker. And this is really important. If you want to get into people's heads, you have to first go through their hearts. And the way you go through their hearts is through vulnerability and authenticity. In order to do that, we have to share the 4 F's. Your fears, your failures, there's the 3 F's. Fears, failures, and F-ups. And that's what he did by telling people how scared he was with the cotton in his mouth and the shaking knees. One thing that I really loved about Art's speech is he delivered great character dialogue. And when you could either narrate your story or you can relive your story. And one way you can relive your story is by using character dialogue. And Art did that with the conversation with his friend Patrick and his friend George. And one of the great things that I loved what Art did was he didn't say, then George said this, and then Patrick said this. He cut that all out, made it quick, and he said, what is it, George? And you can see him change between the 2 characters by moving side to side like this. It just gave a visual of the conversation without having to narrate it. It was very well done, perfect character dialogue example. One thing that I think that would take this wonderful speech to the next level and make it even better. You see, when we're trying to get our message across to the audience, a lot of people might feel inferior. Look at Art Dodd. He's a 3-time Distinguished Toastmaster. He's a great leader. So when he's at that moment where he realizes he's a great speaker, we might not be able to relate to that because he just kind of transformed into this great speaker. What I want to see, Art, is when Art makes that transition, what was the one thing, the piece of advice that he got from a mentor, the book that he read that gave him that one piece of advice that changed him in that moment? That's when we need to hear it. And I agree, at the end of it, he polished it out and he said it was because of practice. So that's one thing. The most climax and the transitional moment is when the change happens. So when the change happens, you need to show how you came about it. So I can look at it and say, I see, okay, he did it because of practice. And rather than saying, well, that's Art Dodd, I can't do what Art Dodd can do. Magnificent speech. You hit everything right. You showed how authentic and vulnerable you were. You gave great storytelling methods like character dialogue, which really enhanced the speech. And I think just show that transitional moment on what made the transition for you in the moment and at the end like you did. And this speech is going to be better, even better than it already was. Mr. Chair.
Stefano, thank you very much. That was awesome. One of the things that I want to do as the maestro of the symphony, chairing that demo meeting, is I want to sell Toastmasters. I didn't have to sell it. The speaker came up, shared those benefits. Then the evaluator came up, and what he did is he shared what a safe place Toastmasters is. Gosh, I remember when I delivered my icebreaker speech. My mentor made sure that I did my icebreaker the week after I signed my check to join the club. I got up, I delivered my icebreaker, I sat down, I thought, oh, that was horrible. My evaluator was also my mentor, Catherine Moen. Catherine got up and she delivered that evaluation. That evaluation, just like Stefano did, showing Art's strengths. She came up and she shared strengths that I didn't realize that I had. When she finished speaking, I had so much confidence to move forward to the next step. That's what we're trying to do in the demo meeting, is share with people, yes, you can do that. You can do what Art did, is get up and speak in front of a group. Why can you do that? Because our evaluator, like Stefano was today, he showed all the strengths, but he also shared a nugget that would make Art even better for the next time. Selling what Toastmasters offers to everybody. That speaker, speak about what value you've received from Toastmasters. The evaluator, ensure the evaluator is a strong evaluator that they can come and sell this tremendous organization. One of the things that I didn't do that I always ensure that I do at demo meetings, and I completely blown it today, I can't see the audience, but there are some people I need to introduce out there. We have Louisa Davis, our past district director, our new club extension chair, Carol Murphy, our new district director, and first of all, congratulations, Carol. Mimi Vanderheid, our program quality director. Lily Laverton, our club growth director. There's a whole bunch of other district leaders here, and I can't see them, so I'm going to stop there. Well, one of the things that I always ensure that I do is, because at any of those demo meetings, we have a bunch of leaders there that need to be recognized, and we have some very special leaders that have made District 96 so special. The next thing we would do at our demo meeting is go right into table topics. We're not going to do that today. Everybody here knows what table topics, the benefits are of doing table topics. When we do the table topics, as I say, we have 3 table topic speakers, only up there to show people one of the challenges, but one of the opportunities they have in Toastmasters. When we're finished those 3 table topic speakers, we get another evaluator, just like Stefano, to get up there and share what their strengths were and areas that they can do to be even better with their presentation next time. One of the things I don't do during the demo meeting, because I want to keep it condensed, keep it simple, is I don't have a timer. But as we're running the meeting, I will explain the timer's role. Explain that in Toastmasters, it's a way that we keep people responsible for the times. And I share with people how we will do that. And I'll ask people, have you ever been to a wedding or an event where people will get up and speak? And after listening to them, after watching them, it's like fingernails running down a glass pane. I know I was like that. I know a lot of people who were like that. But Toastmasters makes people so they're no longer like that. Toastmasters gets people to take that step back, improve, and sometimes it takes us a while. But the neat thing about this organization, you have so much friendship, so much support, different things that'll make you feel better about yourself, but engage with others to become even better communicators, to become even better leaders. Such a special organization. After the table topics are done, the next thing we usually do is share people what their investment is to join this Toastmasters Club. And let's just make up a number. Let's say it's $100. You've had an opportunity today to see what Toastmasters is all about. Imagine this, for an investment of $100, twice a year, you can develop that confidence, those communication skills, friendships. That would be money, in my eyes, well spent. And I don't know what you think. So the question that I'm going to ask today, if the investment is $100, how many of you people here would be interested in joining our club today? And as I'm asking that question, I'm looking for those hands to go up. I know there's going to be at least 20 hands go up. And as I see these hands go up, first words out of my mouth, I'll say, that is fantastic. It looks like we're ready to go. It looks like we're ready to charter tonight. My only responsibility now is to line you up with your sponsor and ensure that you have ways of getting your investment to him, ways to get your your application to him, and we're ready to go. But here's something that I forgot about because it's been a while since I've chartered a new club. A week ago, we chartered a new club in District 96. I was the maestro of the meeting, but the music started sounding a little off note when I ran the elections. And here's one of the things, if you're going to be the maestro of the symphony, is at the end you're going to run the elections, but you're going to keep it simple, and you're going to know how those elections are going to go. How are you going to know how you only have to elect 3 people. You have to elect the president, a vice president, and a secretary or a secretary treasurer. If you get those 3 people elected that night, and you have 20 people ready to sign the document and send the money in, you're ready to charter that meeting. Before that meeting, prime a few people. Say, hey, listen, is it okay if we put your name down for this position of, and wait for their response. And if they say no, is there a position that you might be interested in? When you go into the elections and you have a name under each of those positions, no matter what happens in the election, you know your elections are going to be successful. Don't do what I did. Don't go in there without officers already ready to take on the positions. But if you do and the officers are ready, oh gosh, you are ready to go. But my question now is, oh gosh, the paperwork. Do we have any support from the district? I think you have amazing support from District 96. Perhaps one of the most amazing leaders I have ever met in Toastmasters. She's going to touch this afternoon on the forms that we have to fill out. But the thing I cannot stress enough, if you're going to be the sponsor of the club and you have to make sure that these forms are all filled out properly, don't forget you have more support from the district than you could possibly imagine. Person I'm hoping will do this, lead us through these forms, is our retired district director of District 96, but our new club extension chair, Louisa Davis.
Thank you very much, Jean. I've got some slides here. I want to take you through the requirements for the clubs and how to build a Toastmasters club from the paperwork perspective. And what I wanted to emphasize was you are completely supported on this. As club extension chair, I will be soft volleying the club ideas into club leads. So if you're interested in getting a club going and you don't have an idea, I can give you potentially some corporate clubs or community clubs that are ready to go in terms of communities. And we have a book that is called How to Build a Toastmasters Club that is a step-by-step guide and includes all the charter documents. The requirements for all clubs are that they must meet at least 12 times a year. So typically that's once a month. Most clubs, we recommend that they meet once a week to give people a bit more of a rhythm and to have a lot more Toastmasters value. Members must give speeches and give and receive verbal evaluations, and members need to have the opportunity to practice their leadership skills, which will flow naturally from the membership of Toastmasters and the way that the program is set up. There's 7 forms, so I'll take you through each one of these 7. The application to organize a Toastmasters Club, charter payments, charter membership applications, the charter club officer information, club information, and then finally the constitution and addendum for standard club options. The first one is a pretty simple form. You're going to tell the Toastmasters International, hey, I'm planning on organizing a club. I state the city, the state or province, the postal code, the country, what type of club it is. If you have a sponsoring club, so another Toastmasters Club that is going to do some heavy lifting and help them with promotion and help them with a place to store the membership fees when they come in, and also provide speakers and evaluators and guidance. A coordinator, and that coordinator may or may not be a Toastmaster. They might be the person that's in charge of HR that has the idea at the corporate club, and they're going to be the person where the information will flow through until the club charters. And then you'll have individual sponsors. They have to be assigned within 60 days of the charter, and those individuals will be the ones that'll be doing the getting the club. So kind of like a midwife helping the club to get ready for the pregnancy, and then individual Toastmaster mentors who would be assigned within 60 days of the charter. And those individuals will be like the nanny for the newborn baby club to help them through the first 6 months to a year. There is a minimum number of 20 individuals that are required to charter a Toastmasters Club, 17 of whom cannot belong to another Toastmasters Club, except if you check this little box saying you want to create an advanced club, in which case a minimum number of 20 individuals are required to charter a Toastmasters Club, same clause. However, 17 of them must belong to another Toastmasters Club. Typically, you are then sourcing through the pool of existing Toastmasters. The next form is form number 2, and this is the charter fee of $125. And then at this point, you could have it that the organization is committing to fulfilling 20 members and the $45 US per person and $20 for the admin fee, and whether or not they're going to do the prorating of the renewals, along with agreeing what the dues are. The minimum for this form would be that they pay the charter fee. And it's a great idea if you've got somebody that's interested in forming a club that you get them to commit to the charter fee right up front before they've even had their demo meeting. If there's enough interest in their organization and they feel it's going to fly, get them to commit to the $125 US, and they'll get a massive box flown to them from Denver, from Toastmasters International, with all sorts of goodies. There's a fold-out lectern, there's a gavel, and a bunch of materials to help them to promote the club, along with that booklet on how to organize a club. The next form, form number 3, is a critical one. This is the charter membership application and payment form. And these are the individual forms for each member of the new club. They would have the member application, they have the Toastmasters International dues and fees, the member agreement and release, there's a Toastmasters promise, and the applicant, so the member would sign and a club officer would sign, and then they'd take a payment by credit card, check, or money order, or alternatively the organization or the group could pay in one lump sum on form number 2. And then the form number 4 is semi-annual or annual elections, so they need to make a decision. We recommend that you go for annual so the club officers get a full year of experience, especially when they're first chartering. It's good to get some experience and training under their belt so that they have time to learn. And you need the name, email, and role for each club officer. They do not require people's addresses. The minimum requirement, like Jean mentioned, was at least a president, 1 vice president, and a secretary or secretary treasurer, and those offices need to be by 3 separate people. So in order to have a club existing, you need those 3 officer roles. This is upheld for all clubs worldwide, and chartering clubs will need those 3 members. Obviously, if you've got all 7, absolutely go ahead and elect those, and you can list those on the form number 4. And then finally, and we get to form number 5, which is the club information. At this point, you should have a contact name, phone number, email, and website. You'll want to know the venue address, the date and start and end of each meeting, and the rhythm. Are they meeting once a week, every first and third, or just once a month? What week of the month? And you'll be checking off the boxes that are listed in here. In addition to expressing whether your club is community, company, government, agency, what describes your club, and whether or not it's an advanced club. You'll also be asked to know if it's an open to all interested persons or open only to members of a specific organization or group. For example, if it's a school club and the school club decides it's open to students and staff and alumni of the school, but nobody from externally, they get a chance to document that here. Is the club supported by a sponsoring organization? Often it's a company, or maybe it's a prison, or maybe it's a university or a religious organization or government agency. And if that's the case, Toastmasters keeps the stats on what dues are paid or not paid. And then finally, the sponsoring organization details are listed as well. Moving on to Form 6A, because it's a two-parter. There is this section of the form to fill in. The club president and secretary are signing this. And it's basically just saying we agree to adopt these 6 pages of fine print of club constitutions. They're all standard clauses, and this holds us accountable, and it also makes sure that Toastmasters International as an organization has rules and regulations and policies that we've agreed to follow. And then finally, the last form is 6B, and that's when you can put a few addendum changes. In there is the name of the club, the location, the membership composition. So you can put restrictions. For example, if it's a French-speaking club, you could say that we are restricted to people that are fluent in French. Or you could say that it's restricted to employees of this particular corporation or company. Or they're members of a particular profession, like we have with PMI, the Project Management Institute. They want people that are members of PMI to be part of that club. So that is absolutely allowed. You cannot say we only want and then do something discriminatory based on race, gender, sexual tendency, etc. You can't make any restrictions or limitations on that. And then there's a bunch of other opportunities to change up the addendum, to have some honorary memberships. When do they kick in? Are you charging any club dues, fees, reinstatement fees, and exactly when you're going to be holding the meetings, etc. And pretty much it's straightforward. Those are the various forms. And like I said, I will be there to support you. I will take you through this. Through the sponsors will go through this. I'll go through it with the person who is the main lead, the main coordinator, and we'll get her done. It looks scary. It's a lot of pages. It looks kind of legal and fine printy, but it's actually pretty straightforward. And once it's done, we will email it, not courier, not mail, not fax, to headquarters to make sure that it's done speedy, and we get it up onto the district performance boards, and that everybody gets their credits, and that the club can kickstart right away. One last thing I wanted to note, that if a club has done their demo meeting and hasn't quite got to their 20 members, Toastmasters now has got a way of having the Pathways program as PDFs for the first 4 speeches. So the first 3 projects of level 1 are now available for the coordinator of the club to hand off to up to 20 members until they're able to charter, so that they can get started on their speeches. And this is fantastic, because so often you have got clubs that are trying to get started, and all they do is end up in Toastmasters table topics land, and they never really get a full taste of the whole buffet of what is offered by Toastmasters. And this gets them at least the entree and in the door to be able to experience it and truly understand the programs and get on board. But I trust that with a leader like Jean, we absolutely will be getting those clubs closed very quickly and get our new members on board, and so that they are finding their voice, like Art was saying, and making a difference. Back to you, Maestro.
Thank you so much, Louisa. And I want to talk about those forms. I have never been turned down by Toastmasters International for the forms that I sent forward. Saying that, if I can do that, oh gosh, Anybody can do that. But again, you've already said they've got support from the district, from you, from me. We will make it work.
We can even provide the pen for them to sign.
You bet. I received a question I could save for the question and answer period, but I'm going to go into it right away. From my very dear friend Tom Ireland asked the question: should you have a general evaluator at a demo meeting? My thoughts there is no. Why? Is because as soon as you have a general evaluator, all of a sudden now the maestro's losing a little bit of control on where they're going in the meeting. To ensure that people are taking in these things one step at a time to the exact point that you're trying to do, what you're doing is you're trying to show people what the benefits are. The maestro should mention that everything in a Toastmasters meeting gets evaluated. So every presentation you do, people grow as a result of it. Not all demo meetings are the same. A regular demo meeting, I like to keep it to about 50 to 55 minutes. Keep it simple, but the maestro ensure that everybody understands what the features, the values, the benefits are being in this organization. What changes? If you have a corporate club, in table topics, for an example, if you put 2 people on the spot to do table topics, chances are those 2 people may be afraid to deliver their table topics to their peers. One of the things that I learned about table topics is you may go up to people, if you think you're going to ask them to take it on, the table topics master may go around and explain what table topics are and say to those couple of people that you might choose, if we're going to ask this question, would you be interested to stand up to do a 2-minute extemporaneous presentation on this topic? And if that person shows any hesitation whatsoever, then you're not going to ask that person. Just with a corporation, people working with their peers a lot of times is different than people going to a Toastmasters meeting where they don't know a lot of other people. With a corporation, before we've had the demo meeting, we've had a very good conversation with the corporation themselves. And some of the meeting may flow as a result of that conversation we had with the leaders of that corporation. With the school club, often those students are far more enthusiastic, far more daring. Gosh, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking anybody to take on a table topic at a school club. If they don't want to, if they hesitate, just back right off and pick somebody else. But usually with a school club, I think it's a whole lot different. With an advanced club, that's when the parameters all change. All the people who go to an advanced demo meeting are seasoned Toastmasters. They're not there for you to explain the features, the values, the benefits of Toastmasters. They already know what they are. The meeting, instead of being a little less than an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It may be 2 hours. You may have 3 speakers. You may have 4 speakers. With an advanced club, what you want to sell is what they're going to get from being a member of that club. What's different about this advanced club than any other Toastmasters club they're going to belong to? With an advanced club, that's what you're trying to do, is share with them what's in it for them to be a member of this specific club. Going back to the Maestro, basically you want to have that symphony, the music just purring. How do I do that? I ensure, number 1, is I keep that meeting short. I don't go more than 55 minutes for that regular Toastmasters meeting. How do I do it? I make sure as we're flowing from that speaker to the evaluator, whatever roles we're doing, as the Maestro, I'm sharing people what the opportunities for them are in Toastmasters, in other roles that they can't see that we're performing during this meeting. When we ask the question, would you be interested in joining this club today if, and you see those 20 hands go up, that's when you know you've delivered an amazing symphony. I'm just, right now, I'm coming up to it. Oh, yes, Louisa.
I wanted to share on my screen here a document that I've prepared recently for companies. It outlines some of the benefits, and this is part of our initial discussions with the club coordinator and the HR and learning and development teams. But I think it's valuable for the group here today. Along with taking the information of what's in it for them and what their employees may learn, I've broken down the value of the investment, because often there's a bit of a concern as to how much will it cost. And if you see here, it's in Canadian dollars down the side. It comes out to about $2,000, give or take, with the exchange rate for 20 people to get 6 months worth of training. And that works out to $3.63 if they're doing a 1 hour lunchtime meeting, or $1.82 per hour of training if they're doing 2 hours a week. And for me, that's the best value ever. It's often an objection that people may have going in, and definitely if you're organizing a Kickstarter or demo meeting, be ready to have that form ready to go and the answers for how much it costs, as some clubs will charge extra to cover their venues. And if you don't have the answers there, you'll be finding yourself scrambling. So one tip is to have a little value of your investment sheet along with the membership forms printed out and ready to go.
That's beautiful. We've shared the features, the values, the benefits. We've talked about the investment. People should be buying in now, as far as why should I buy in? As the Maestro, if you've delivered it, you're probably going to find you're going to have a very special moment as a result of it. The day you walk away, you feel pretty darn good about that club. Look at the clubs here today. Is when project managers, PMI, when they started, gosh, I learned more from starting that Toastmasters Club than I knew about Toastmasters. The PMI were absolutely amazing. And I could go on with that with a whole lot of other clubs. When I started Just Pros, I take a look. Every time I go to one of their meetings, I am pumped, full of energy when people deliver their keynote. And as a Maestro, when you complete that symphony, you walk away and your chest is about 4 inches bigger than it was before you came in. What's in it for you? Everything. What's in it for you to be a mentor, a sponsor, leadership, friendships? Whole bunch of benefits in Toastmasters. I'm hoping this question and answer period that anybody that's here today that has any reservations whatsoever will get a chance to ask the questions, and we will answer them in a way that they feel very comfortable about. But the one thing I can share with you is you're going to be enjoying your afternoon a little bit earlier. I'm going to ask now that we slip to our question and answer period. And Lily, you are going to monitor the screen for anybody that has their hands up with a question.
Yes, I haven't seen any questions come in yet, so I'm going to start us off with questions. My question to you, Jean, is keeping it simple with 55 minutes, and yet there's a lot of paperwork there. So before they come in, like with your and Cheyenne's advanced club, it made sense to send the documents ahead of time. If it's a community club, so brand new Toastmasters, when are they going to be working on their paperwork?
When we finish the meeting and we've confirmed, oh, and by the way, I'll come back to one thing after we talk about their investment and people who want to join. When we finish the meeting, immediately, please send your paperwork to, and we have that person with their email address, phone number, if there's any challenges whatsoever. So what are you sending? You're sending your charter application signed. You've signed it to join the club. What are you sending? The agreed investment that to start up with the club. We broke down the reasons why the number came to this. I went through it pretty quickly, but but that's pretty simple as far as coming to that investment. Please send that investment through an e-transfer. Usually going to be an e-transfer. If there's issues with that, how can we get it to that person as fast as we possibly can? My answer is whoever that person that's receiving the funds, let's get those funds and that application to them immediately.
Thank
We'll
you.
give you a collection of credit cards as well.
Yeah, absolutely. However, whatever works in that process.
Jean, what happens if you don't get 20 people at the initial Kickstarter meeting?
Here's the challenge. This is the reason why I say ensure that you have at least 25 people of interest there. If you don't get 20 signed up at that meeting, let's say you walk away with 16. If you walk away with 16, what traditionally happens is everybody's comfortable. Next week, we might have 17. But the longer it takes to get to 20 is the closer you are to Never Never Land. And I say Never Never Land, it never happens.
Jean, did I hear you right? I thought you said in a demo meeting you don't have a timer?
As the Maestro, what I'm doing is I've got a watch in front of me all the time. I know where I need to be, where I want to be. And I'm trying to get as much of the sales process in as much as I can through that meeting. But if, let's say Art took 9 minutes, I just lost 2 minutes of sales time. If Stefano took 4 minutes, I've lost another minute of sales time. It will work, but no, the Maestro has a timepiece that he or she can feel where they are all the way through.
So we'll just see the time. It won't be necessarily that this is 4 minutes, this is 5 minutes, this is 6. You're just watching the time in the hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of the things that I want to point out that I forgot to mention during the meeting is after we've got the buy-in from people who want to join the club, we want to come up with a name for the club. And I'm going to throw a name out to the club as a potential name. And if I've gone to 200 demo meetings, that means that I've thrown out a potential name for that club 200 times. But I can assure everybody here, not once in that 200 times did they ever walk away with the name that I suggested. The whole point to that is I want that name to be a name that they buy into it. That is them. That is their special. What I'll do is if we're doing it on Zoom, is I'll put out a piece of paper and I'll have it big and bold with a felt pen showing the names. And I'll try and get 4 or 5 suggestions. And then I'll have everybody look at the piece of paper and have everybody look at the number, the suggestions they have. And then I'll ask the question, how many people are in favor of 1? How many people are in favor of 2? Do the numbers. And then we'll get it down to 3 suggestions. And my name that I put forward is gone by that time. Then I will have the 3 names. I'll show people the names. And then we'll get 1 choice for the name of the club. Soon as we're finished that process, they have established it was them. It was their club. They've come up with the name. They've bought into it. They bought into it that they're going to be a charter member. They bought into it that they've established the name. It is their club, and they're walking away tall that night.
Jean, for new area directors that have never been to a demo meeting, when new demo meetings come up, can they be invited so they can actually see it?
Great question. Thank you, Earl. This is what my hopes are. Every single time this year we do a demo meeting, we will invite the 2 mentors, the 2 sponsors, and ask them, please, please, please be there. Then we will ask the area director. And the area director will ask that area director to take on a role during the meeting. We'll ask the division director if they are interested in coming to the meeting, and we hope they will. We'll certainly mention it to the district leaders. They're very busy people and they won't attend a lot of meetings, but when they are there, we will treat them like they are gold. But the answer to your question, should an area director attend the meetings? Every meeting that is in your, and we will inform the area director. We are having a demo meeting in your area give the location at this time, and if you can be, please be there, because this is your baby.
Before we let you go, just one more reminder, make sure you like this video to tell the presenters what you thought, hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss anything else, and comment below if there's anything else you'd like to see.